5 weeks later, I woke up and my arms are black, my legs are black. I'm like, Mom, what's going on? Well, you're septic and they're going to have to amputate your arms and legs.
Welcome back to Conversations. I'm Emma,
And I'm Ginny.
and today we're interviewing a friend of mine, John McCurdy. John McCurdy had a health crisis not too long ago that completely changed his way of life.
And something beyond what you and I could even imagine going through somehow has come out on the other side with some joy and optimism. So let's meet him. So, John, welcome to the podcast. We're excited to have you.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Excited.
So, prior to what we're going to be talking about, one of the first things that kind of caught my eye with you, John, is how many people you know and how outgoing you are. So, prior to like your life changing event that we'll get into, go ahead and tell us a little bit just about yourself and how you have such a big group of people in your life, a good community of people.
Well, I grew up in Hickory from sixth grade on. Before that, I was in Hawaii and then went to UNC Charlotte and I was very involved with fraternity and social events and athletics, go to all the games. Met a lot of people. I tend to stick around. I'm pretty loyal. Had the same job up until the life-changing event, 25 years. So a lot of the same customers, same group of friends. Being in one place. I've been in my neighborhood for 20 years. I tend to get comfortable somewhere and stick with it. I think that has let me keep those friends and keep those relationships going.
I've heard your story many times, John, and I'm always delighted to hear it. You're so just excited to share it, and you're good at sharing it. So I want to give you kind of the platform and kind of tell our listeners and Jenny your story that gives you the day to day life that you have now.
Okay, it's September of 23. It's the second game of the season, and I actually went to Maryland to see Charlotte play Maryland, and then came home and worked that week. And then Saturday, I was really in bad shape, and one of my friends called me and said, "What are you bringing to the tailgate today?" I'm like, "I don't think I can go." He said, "What are you talking about?" I just don't feel good. He's like, "Okay, well, I hope you feel better." I'm stubborn single guy. I'll be fine. I'll sleep it off. As Saturday progressed, I guess it got worse. I got a phone call from my yard guy, and I answered the phone, and I guess I was really delirious because he's like, "You don't sound good. Let me come over." I'm like, "No, no, I'll be fine. I'll be fine." He said, "Well, let me send you some food." Well, okay, that'd be great. Send me some Chick-fil-A. He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna send you some Chick-fil-A." I guess I fell asleep on the couch, and he called me in. He said, "John, did you eat your food?" I'm like, I don't know. Go check, go check." And it took every ounce of energy I had to get off the couch. And when I got up, I just fell down. And I really had to crawl to the front door. The one thing I wanted there was a Coke because my stomach was aching. I wanted something to settle my stomach. And of course, I dropped it all over the floor. Like, well, forget this. So then I had to crawl up my stairs, crawl down the hallway. I crawled in the shower and took a shower. Then I crawled to the dresser, got some new clothes on, crawled in bed, and went to sleep. My friend called me. He said, "How you doing?" I said, "Oh." He told his wife, "John's in trouble. I need to go there and take him to the hospital." And she's like, "Jason, you're not going to be able to take him to the hospital. You're going to have to call an ambulance." Next thing I know, the medics are knocking on my door, coming upstairs, taking me outside. And this is Sunday morning. So we go downstairs, and three of my neighbors are on the sidewalk. "What's going on?" "I'll be fine. I'll be home in a couple hours." And they got me in the ambulance. And I remember about 2 minutes of that ride. And next thing I really remember is 5 weeks later, I woke up and my arms are black, my legs are black. It's October now, October 25th or so. I'm like, "Mom, what's going on?" "Well, you're septic and they're going to have to amputate your arms and legs." "Okay, well, they feel like two by fours and they're worthless. So when are we doing this?" She said, "Tomorrow." And, for whatever reason, I almost like accepted it. I was just like, "Well, let's just get it over with and I'll get some, bionic arms and hands and legs and I'll be fine." But I lost about 5 weeks of my life where I don't remember anything except bits and pieces of people coming in. But really, I don't remember anything.
That's quite amazing to wake up and where am I just to kind of try to figure out where you are and what's going on. Did they say why you became septic? Was there a infection or
There
something?
was an infection, and I had at one point 2 or 3 years previous, I had a, defibrillator pacemaker put in me. The infection that I had went straight to the lead on the pacemaker. I'm not saying that's what caused it, but, I had an infection. Whenever you have a foreign object in your body, it goes straight to that. But ultimately, I think maybe my stubbornness, I should have probably gone to the hospital Friday and got checked out. During that time, I had a 106.5 fever, and they told my family that there's no way I was going to make it through the night. And I kept advancing, kept waking up. I had pneumonia, my kidneys were shut down, everything except for my brain and my heart were basically dead. At one point, one of the doctors told my stepfather, if you just withhold dialysis, he will die peacefully and dignified. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he said, what kind of life he's going to have? A dialysis and no arms and no legs. And my stepfather's like, well, he's a fighter and you don't get to make the decision. So, here I am.
Wow.
And miraculously, my kidneys came back. And that took probably 2 months. And then I started functioning properly. And, thank God they didn't just say, okay, let's do it. It's pretty miraculous.
When you had to have your arms and legs amputated, you're just like, "Okay, do it," because at that point, you were just like, "I have no use for it." Like, it was no second question or guessing, and for some people, you would think, "Oh, maybe it would give them like, oh my gosh, my legs, my arms, can't you save them?" You didn't have that reaction. What about when you were home after all the hospital stays? Did you have the same kind of like acceptance of the new life that God has given you? I mean, obviously, He has so many purposes for you, John, and He is using this. Was that easy for you to accept, or did you kind of question your faith a little bit? Or can you kind of
Yeah,
talk about
I
that?
definitely questioned it. It was accepting when I was there, but coming back home, there were moments where you're just like, this is not fun, or this is terrible. Why do I have to do this? Every day is not peaches and cream. There are definitely down moments, but the support I've had from my church and my friends and my neighbors has just been unbelievable. And everyone's so supportive. I mean, this life is temporary, right? I'm 51 years old now, and however much longer I have here, we have an eternity in heaven. One of my pastors that came by, he comes by once a week and visits. And I had a dream one night right before he came, and we were all standing around, and I heard the trumpet sound, and I was like, "Oh, Jesus is coming back!" And I get new arms and legs, and I was so excited. And before all this happened, I don't want him to come back yet. I got a life to live, and I want to experience the world has. But the world is painful, and even though I've experienced a lot of love and support, it's not what God designed us to be. And once that time comes, when eternity's here, I'm going to be full and happy, and there's going to be no more pain, and there's just be a distant memory. So this is a blink of an eye for what eternity is going to be.
Wow, that's such a great perspective. Our listeners, everybody's had something in their life, some sort of tragic event that they didn't expect. The end of a marriage or a health issue, losing someone they love. So, when you wake up in the morning, what do you think about or how do you motivate yourself? Is that an issue for you?
Sometimes it is. I mean, because it takes a lot of work to get up. Laying in bed, and I set up my legs to where I can sit up in bed now. My core strength is good enough where I can use my elbow and pop myself up. I'm able to pull up with my residual or nubs, and then snap on my legs, grab my walker, stand up, and walk over to where my arms are, and put my arms on, and then go take care of my personal hygiene, and I'll get going in the morning. But when you're laying in bed, sometimes it's like, oh, this is going to take a few minutes. Um, The first day was probably 10 minutes, but now I can get it down in just a couple minutes. I guess the hardest part is if you have to go to the bathroom or you want to get up and get, a cup of water, it's not as simple as just throwing your legs on the floor and standing up and taking care of it. It is a process. I am working from home, so that gets me motivated to get up and, make a living, make some money. There are motivations.
Let's dive a little deeper into that just because other people who have gone through other things in their life, maybe, again, not to the same degree, but they may just, whether they have arms or legs or not, feel like they don't want to get out of bed and they feel like their life might be over, or how do I move on from whatever just happened in their life that's tragic to them? Do you have any, I guess maybe the word would be advice, maybe encouragement would be another word for it, for people who feel like they can't move past and move on and find this new way of living?
Yeah, you gotta, I guess, dig deep and just find that will and that desire because, we're here to promote God's love for us and to show other people what Jesus did for us and gotta put on a happy face and try to
You don't
make
have
the
to
most
put
of
on a happy face. Don't feel like you ever have to put on a happy face,
well,
John.
I want to, it's
Yeah.
I can choose to be miserable and just this stinks, but I've been given tools to make my life as comfortable and normal as possible. Going back to the therapist I work with, it's just been amazing and encouraging. And every opportunity that I have, I take. They ask me to do something. I'm like, yes, let's do this. Do you want to do this? Yes, let's do this. If you say no and you keep saying no, 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 people are going to not want to help anymore. Just the financial support I gotten from my church and the people willing to take you to an appointment or, come over and help you with something, just offering. I don't want to squander that by, just being like, this stinks. My life stinks. I want to give up. That's like a slap in the face to everyone that's been there for me. I want to pay them back by being the best I can, walking on my own and being as independent as possible.
Like, it's okay to have those days though where like you can't do it and you need a break. I know working with you, like it's like okay, there gets to some times where you need grace. We're human. We have those days all the time where we're like, today's just on our day. And what I love about me and Jenny's relationship is we work so great as a team and kind of from the beginning. Look, if you're having an off day, respect, like understood. We have very different lifestyles, and so we want to be able to honor, hey, today I'm not feeling well, or today this happened. Okay. But
There are definitely setbacks. I mean, I've had days where, my leg won't work properly, takes longer to get my leg on, or, yesterday my arm wouldn't open and close right. And so I texted my prosthetist. I'm like, Matt, I said, my arm's not working. And I said, I need to get it fixed because I'm going out of town this weekend to a friend's wedding. And I don't want to go without an arm. And sometimes the patience is just like, sometimes I gotta hold my tongue not to get angry and just to, accept it with grace. But thankfully I got my arm fixed yesterday. He fixed it right away and I'm
yay.
back. But there are definitely valleys in this journey. There are definitely some setbacks, but I try to just look for, God's blessing in what he's done for me. I've had actually people tell me, if it were me, I would have just thrown in the towel. But, I want to live and I know there's a purpose for me. I've been reading a devotional book for the last month by Johnny Erickson Tata. I don't know if you ever heard of her, but she was
Yes.
like, I think she was a diver in high school and she was paralyzed. And, I think about her. She's been in a wheelchair for 40, almost as long as been alive. She's probably in her early 60s now. Just reading what she says about the promises that God gives us and how there's more to come in this life. I'm thinking to myself, I have mechanical arms, mechanical legs. I can move. I can get up. I can I can take care of myself. And she is completely dependent on everything. And if her attitude is like, thank you God for today. Thank you for the opportunity to be a blessing to others. You know, I got it easy compared to her.
Wow. Yes, Johnny Erickson has been a huge encouragement to so many people. I have a friend who's gone through health issues for, I don't know, 25 years. She was just a huge inspiration. She got to meet her actually, I think. So thanks for reminding us about her. What kind of things practically can you do? You said you can walk around. Are you still able to go to the football games and those?
I went to all the football games for UNC Charlotte this year. I went to 2 basketball games. I get out, I can go to the restaurant, I can eat, I can, you know, do the things where you spare your dignity. And before that, I was completely dependent on somebody to help me make sure I didn't fall down or I could get off from a seated position. I've worked on shaving, brushing my teeth. Eating with my prosthetics is very simple. And drinking is pretty good. I did get some new mechanical hands that have fingers on them. The only thing with those fingers is they don't move independently, so I can't play the piano again or I can't play the guitar, but they are hands and they look cool. But the hooks are actually more functional for dexterity things on them.
You kind of got those bionic hands, right? At
Yes,
least they look like it.
yes, yeah, they're pretty cool. And what's to come with technology down the road is exciting. Thinking about how this happened in 2023 and not 2013 is probably just, it's a blessing. And who's to know what's to come in 2033? What's going to be out there? Will I be able to feel with my hands again? Because one thing with prosthetics is you don't feel things. Um, so like running your hands through your hair, or holding a girl's hand, or you know the feelings of touch, things like that are things that I do miss that, and it would be nice one day if that's an option or possible.
You should see John's setup at home. He has a lot of things like his shower can turn on if you say like turn on shower, its doors, a lot of things are he has a pretty fun setup. So I think it would be cool one day if the whole house could, be bionic or
Right.
whatever. But would you want to share any like articles or your Facebook for people to follow along with your journey for our listeners? Or
Yeah.
how do you feel about
I do post videos of myself on Facebook, how I get up in the morning, walking, and you know, just simple little small victories like opening a candy bar or doing
That's very important.
yeah, it is. You know how much I love candy and sweets. I'm completely open to sharing all this stuff. The more people that know about it and more people I can help is, that's part of the reason why I'm still here.
It strikes me just listening to you what a blessing you could be, or maybe already are, to, let's say, younger. I mean, there must be children, teenagers, young adults that go through what you're going through that have an amputation or something, just to give them a role model, right? Someone who's been through it. I know this actually is very recent for you. So I'm just thinking down the road what God might have for you, even ministering to those kids.
Yeah, I've had a lot of friends that say I should be a motivational speaker. And I don't have to try to do it, but I guess maybe my attitude comes through to some people. And while I was always involved with church, I was an elder in my church. I taught Sunday school, you know, been a Christian, but maybe God is bringing me closer to Him to realize that, hey, buddy, get your head straight. It gives you some perspective that, life, this world is not what we're meant to be in. God created the world and it was perfect and there was nothing wrong. And then, sin entered the world and now we're stuck with pain and suffering and, shame. And I've lived half my life and I had a really good life, a really fun life, but, it's nothing compared to what we're going to see when Jesus comes or when we're called home.
I know we kind of joked about, I was going to make you a motivational speaker. You're going to go to Vegas and stuff. And even though that didn't happen because I don't have any connections in Vegas, unfortunately. Our podcast, we do have so many people that are listening, and so this does give a good opportunity for you to reach out to, hundreds or thousands of people. So I do think that God put me in your life, John, to be a special part of your life, and put me in Jenny's life to be a special part of her life, and you both a special part of my life, um, to have this podcast together, and for us to, have you as our guest today. But thank you for taking this time this morning. And I'm excited to, get this posted so people can hear your story.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I really appreciate the opportunity to share my story and just, talk about this.
And I think you're having such an effect and you're such an inspiration without even knowing it. I mean, I didn't know your story, and now I feel very inspired and encouraged.
It's
So thank you.
Keep being you, John. Seems like you're doing something right.
oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.
Tell others about the podcast.
And for more information on today's guest, check out our show notes.
Until next time.